Hey everybody, Edo here, and I am excited today because I have Dan Hughes on the line. Say hello, Dan.
Hello.
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 And so, as far as I can tell, right, so I don't know anything about the beginning, and you're going to tell us all that, but then you're doing the Dan and Cora videos on Board Game Breakfast and the Dice Tower,
Yeah.
and you're doing that sort of stuff. We're going to talk about that. And then you do Coraquest, which is a Kickstarter you did with your daughter, which was huge. If I'm not mistaken, it's your first Kickstarter, right? Or had you done one
It
before
is.
that?
It
Oh,
kind of exploded. Yes.
exploded,
Yeah.
exploded. Because in the video, you two are hilarious and wonderful, and it's very, it has a lot of family and kid appeal, and we'll get into it. But it's big, and now you've been working through the process of getting it ready and in manufacturing and dealing with shipping and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I had posted a different video which you commented on, and then I was like, hey, we should do a video because one, I'm super interested in your story, but then I think we can talk about where you are with your Kickstarter because I know a lot of creators are sort of right there, right where you are right now.
Yes. In the mire of shipping, which is where we are right now. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But to start, again, I know nothing about what you do professionally or your background, but so how did you like take us from getting into games into doing those videos? Like what's your story?
Well, I've always been a gamer ever since I was like 17, doing Dungeons and Dragons and Warhammer and all that kind of stuff. And then the old story is that you fall away from it in your 20s when other things come, and then
Life starts. You have
the life starts
responsibilities.
exactly, and then you realise that you miss all that kind of stuff. And then I got back into it about 10 years ago. So it's an age old story, really, not a unique one there. Um, but the other thing I've always done is something vaguely creative, a cross between creative and showing off, basically. So I used to write a blog back in about 15 years ago. So that was like and it came to become this UK second most popular parenting blog at one point and things like that.
About all
According,
things parenting, or was that game related?
it was more kind of humorous anecdotes about parenting, you know, fails really and stuff like. It
Sure,
wasn't
sure.
parenting advice. It was just a snapshot of our life type
Right,
stuff.
right, right.
And I used to do podcasts about movies and things like that. So I've always had a hand in. Ever since the internet allowed this kind of punk rock creation where anyone can produce their own stuff,
Sure.
you know,
As we are right now,
yeah,
right?
exactly, and I love that. I love the democratization of media. There's no gatekeepers on media anymore, and so I've always done something. And then I got into board gaming, so the natural thing was to kind of start talking about board games online and things like that. I first started off contributing a segment to the Dice Tower podcast back when that had segments about starting your own board game group and things like that, mainly as a kind of very sneaky way of advertising my board game group.
But
So
so like just into that because that's like a big moment for a lot of people. Like the moments grow and grow, but that moment you've like on your own, you've been doing blogs unrelated to games or into parenting in general, and you have a game group. Obviously, you're playing games. Like what? How did you get on the Dice Tower? I mean, like, did you just
I
he
just
has all hey, anyone have any content, and you just submitted to it?
Well, no, I just submitted it on the off chance.
Yeah,
I just emailed Tom and said, "I've got," because he had segments at that point on his podcast, and just said, "I've got something to say about starting up a board game group. Do you want to hear?" And Tom's exceptionally generous at sharing his audience with a wide
sure, sure,
variety
sure.
of things.
I agree
Um,
completely.
and I think that's really underrated on how generous that is. And so he just said, "Yeah, send me something. If it's not awful, I'll put it in." So he put it in, and so I started contributing to the podcast a little bit. And yeah, I was very excited, about the Dice Tower podcast and all that kind of stuff. And then I think I was on Reddit, and there was a post about asking about suggestions for children's games, and I was playing a lot of children's games with my
Sure.
four-year-old daughter at that point. And so I couldn't be bothered typing, so I just kind of switched the webcam on and said, "Well, this is a good one, this is a good one, this is a good one." And my daughter was with me at the time, and she was quite photogenic, and so after I did that, I said, "Oh, well, maybe I'll just send this video to Tom as well and see if he fancies it." And then I got on
Yeah.
the Dice South board game breakfast, and it's kind of
And now
that
and
that's
then that's what it
and
is.
then that's kind of I think I'm their longest minor contributor, if that makes any sense.
No, I was looking it up because I couldn't like I remembered that you had done it, but I didn't remember. I mean, what it was exactly, and so I just looked up Dan and Cora and it came up. But they
Yeah,
list you can go to the Dice Tower and it'll list like every single thing you've ever contributed to on your like you have an about page if you will on the Dice Tower
yeah,
website.
yeah,
And I was like, they've been doing this for a long time. This
yeah.
she
We've been
was
to about
young.
5 years now. Yeah, and then I've done other stuff in board gaming as well. I created This Game Is Broken, and I was the host of that for a while. So that's a kind
Awesome.
of a comedy board game panel show type thing. And I do a podcast with Mike Delisio, who now works for the Dice Tower, but at the time
Okay.
didn't. And that's called Sporadically Bored. So I do all sorts of. I like to dabble. I like to dabble is what I like to do.
And so, but this dabbling has happened, are you do you have a full-time job out of the industry doing
Yeah,
something?
yeah. I'm a mental health nurse. So my day job is if somebody's suicidal or something like that, then I get called in and I go and see the person and make a judgment about whether they need to be in hospital, whether I can treat them at home, all that kind of stuff. So
Well,
slightly
that
different
is,
from board gaming.
yeah, I mean, hugely valuable to society.
Yeah, yeah,
Very,
yeah,
very
yeah,
different. Uh,
yeah,
but and so you know you have your day job, you have this content creation thing, and I feel like the story of how Coraquest sort of got started, you know, as far as the video and how it's presented on the web page, like I know I saw that clip and that sort of space a whole bunch. But from, you know, if to recap it a little, you know, you're not necessarily you know, you're in media, you're a content creator, right? You're writing blogs, you're doing these podcasts.
yeah,
Had you was
yeah,
that like your first dive into because it's not only it's like super creative, you're doing a lot of like web development and like you know the content creation and that is very robust. Like how could you go into a little bit more detail on like that like how you like were like hey let this thing we're talking about let's make it something like talk a little bit about
yeah.
that moment.
So it was the beginning of lockdown, and basically we were doing homeschooling. So my daughter, this is fast forward now. So my daughter's now 8 years old. This is a kind of March, April last year. Was it last year? I can't. Anyway, whatever. Beginning of lockdown, March, April, and I was absolutely bored of this stuff. The school had been caught on the hop a little bit with the homeschooling type stuff,
Sure,
and so they
sure.
were sending some stuff back, but it wasn't quality stuff. It was,
Sure.
research the Romans on the web, and it's like, well,
Yeah, you know, a
where
lot of
where do you
schools were
go?
challenged. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
sure,
yeah, and it got a lot better. I don't blame the teachers at all, but
sure.
we were struggling to kind of maintain interest in homeschooling,
Right, right.
um, and I was desperate to kind of keep Cora engaged and happy, and things like that because I won't go into it, but I think the lockdown was the hardest on young children because they don't have an outside social
Oh,
type
yeah.
life.
I mean, I have kids as well, and it was a
Yeah,
big challenge.
yeah. My older kids were all on the phones to their friends, but Cora, she had us, and me and my wife, and that was it. So anyway, so we started making this board game, and it was only for fun. There was no intent to do anything with it. Cora had watched me play various dungeon crawls with my friends, and said, "Can I play?" But I was playing like claustrophobia and things like that. It just wasn't particularly appropriate for a
Sure,
for an
sure.
8-year. And so, let's make a dungeon crawl. And what I did was basically, I got to write out kind of backstories of all the characters. I got to draw all the characters. I got to create the dungeon tiles on the computer, and so all kind of educational stuff. And that's as far as it was going to go, to be honest. And then I was posting about this on a Facebook group of the podcast, the Sporadically Bored podcast I do. And my friend Gary, who's a very talented artist, read it, and as a kind of joke, mocked up a board game cover and said, "Coraquest coming to Kickstarter soon." And when something kind of clicks and kind of like, oh, that kind of might be a possibility. It never came to me as being that could happen. But then yeah, no, I thought, oh yeah. So, and Gary said, "Oh well, I'll work with you on it." And originally we were just going to do it as a print and play. So we made all these print and play files.
Sure, sure.
we did all that. Gary did loads and loads of work. I wrote the rules and things like that. And then we started looking at thinking, this is actually quite good. And Gary, one of Gary's kind of day jobs is facilitating people to get more involved in art and things like that. And he was really enthusiastic about using Cora's art
Sure,
and then other people's kids' art into the game itself, which is quite a unique thing. And then we
for
kind of
sure.
we started thinking, well, let's not make it just a game. Let's make it so if people want to use it as their own creative exercise, then they can do that. So we ended up being able to kind of creating character creation and
Right.
story
I mean,
creation.
it really had for it has that Roblox Minecraft vibe where in the sense of you have something that's sort of, playful and family oriented, but then in terms of the tool set and the capabilities, it's a very broad and
Yeah,
significant tool set and capabilities for creation. So it has that, again, I haven't played it or anything, but it has that
no,
sandbox from what you see from the material you all created, that just that openness to say craft, make, turn this unique to your family, to your stories, to your whatever's.
yeah, that's it. There's something to play if you don't want to do all that, but we've left the keys in the ignition and are happy for
Right,
you
sure.
to drive off in it if you want to and make it your own and things like that. And that's another reason we used all kids art, because we wanted kids to be able to draw their own characters and things, and a lot of kids might feel a bit more intimidated if the rest of it was all professional kind of level
For
art.
sure.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the art in Coraquest. It looks fantastic, but it's definitely, you can tell it's been drawn by kids. It's a very,
Oh
very,
yeah,
very clear aesthetic,
yeah.
if you
Well, but
like.
also creating the material so that making it easy for the kids' art to feel and look presentable
Yeah,
and good, right?
yeah,
Which
that's right.
there's a little bit of effort to that, right? And it speaks to the fact that you had um, this partnership with an artist who's also an art teacher and an art engager speaks
Mhm.
to that how that came through in the title, seemingly.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
eh,
that's right. I mean, there's an app we developed where you can make an official looking card and all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, official looking character card type stuff.
And then so for the app development, did you hire somebody? Did you all do that on
No,
your own? Or?
you see, I come from a very privileged position in that because I've been so engaged with various scenes and things like that. So I've been very engaged in the media scene. I've been very engaged in the local board gaming scene. So I created this board gaming society, and I also created a kids board gaming club as well, which I invite kids to and play kids games. And so none of this was done cynically, but it's all kind of come back to
Sure.
be so my friend Bob, basically, who's a web app developer, amongst other things, he said, oh no, I'll do that, you're fine, I'll do that. So Bob's done all that for us. I mean, now the Kickstarter's been successful, we're paying Bob, we wouldn't not pay him, but at the time, we didn't think the Kickstarter was going to be successful. We,
Yeah,
we thought we might scrape through.
yeah,
So
it's an interesting. I don't want to like. It's a little bit of a hot topic at the moment, but it's always a hot topic. It's been a hot topic for the last 15, 20 years. But I think it's interesting. A lot of what I've created over the years started from a place of being engaged, working with other people, helping other people with whatever what they were doing or having fun,
hmm
and those folks helping you back.
hmm
Um, and it was the genesis for a lot of products and projects and things across the board. A lot gets a little bit, it's a little bit difficult because different people have perspective on comp and fairness and pay and all those different things. But certainly, I have found like it's like one of those things like that's all true and valuable and valid, but at the same time, over the course, I have both found great value and reward helping people and then I have also been helped back, right? So I think it's an interesting
yeah,
balance when that stuff comes together, right?
it is. I mean, and if you want to put a business name on it, it's networking, isn't it? It's basically networking and developing relationships, and sometimes they come back and are rewarding, and sometimes they're not. But it's all about playing it forward and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm the ultimate amateur as well, so I would. I don't want to be a professional anything. I'm very, very happy in my job. I find it very rewarding. So I don't want to be a professional content creator. I don't want to be a professional publisher. I don't want to be. I mean,
Well,
I
okay,
don't want it.
okay. What a great segue. So it's one thing to do blogs and video content. It's another thing to like work with your kid and make a fun experience and share it with somebody on a Reddit page and even have it sort of get a Kickstarter brand and bring it to Kickstarter. That is a far cry from, or whatever expression we want to use, but like that to a $200,000 Kickstarter mega hit that now
Yeah.
has to be manufactured and published and shipped and fulfilled. That it, whether or not you're doing it at the same time as another job, that is a job. That there's nothing amateur about that. And so
No.
when did it, at what point did it sort of hit you that you're about to embark on this other big challenging adventure? Like there must have been a moment where you're like, oh, I now see there's another half to this.
Yeah. I think before the Kickstarter, I think I went in with my eyes open. I
Yeah,
think as soon as we started really seriously, because that $200,000 Kickstarter didn't happen on its own. You know what I mean? That it wasn't. We didn't just throw it up and
that's true.
there was an awful lot of work
Well, yeah, you had a
built
lot of
up.
content too. Yeah, I remember like review
Yeah,
like
yeah.
video content and that kind of thing.
Video content. We did a lot of community building. Again, I'm privileged in that because I've worked with Tom from the Dice Tower so much. I had a platform there and also an audience there which were willing to come with me on that journey. So I was doing some videos about creating Coraquest before it even became an idea to be a Kickstarter, for
Right.
example. So I mean, we didn't spend any money on advertising at all. I think we spent $5 on advertising to see what it was like, and then I decided I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't bother.
You made the right
Um,
choice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. We ended up. I don't know if you're aware of this, but we ended up on national TV. We ended up in the national paper. We ended up in the Guardian. Um, on BBC Breakfast Television. We ended up on local television, local radio. Cora being interviewed alongside myself. I mean, that was
The
in the middle of the
engine working
campaign.
for you. I think I do recall some of it in the seeing how big it was exploding, but
Yeah.
whether it's because I'm in the States or whatever, but I never like saw it live or
No, no,
anything,
no, no.
but
And
I remember it, like there it had just it's that combination of all the hard work, but certain concepts, certain ideas uh, have the magic or the lightning
yeah,
or the
yeah.
capture, right?
Well, it was the right product at exactly the right time. We were going back into a lockdown. It was a feel good story
Right,
about a lockdown.
right.
Cora is very good at talking in front of a camera, so she did well on the TV type stuff. It all just kind of worked. I mean, I'm not actually sure we got many backers from the media stuff, but what was useful is that media stuff was reported on by board gamers, because every
Right.
time board gaming's in the media, look,
No,
board gaming's in the media,
exactly,
and
exactly, exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
look, we validated. Look, people are talking about us.
It's a real
Um,
thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that I think that's where the backers kind of rose awareness in the actual community that I wanted to do. I can't remember what your question was, to be honest. I do.
I think the question was there a moment you realized this was going to be a huge effort beyond what you had stepped into so far? And what you said was actually, it wasn't even during the Kickstarter, it was before it as you were starting to build up this
Yeah,
momentum. And then you started to talk about the momentum.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I apologize.
No,
The
it's
other thing
fine.
the other thing I get enthusiastic. The other thing I should point out is the Coraquest team is 4 people. There's me, there's Cora, obviously. There's Gary, the artist,
Give her
and
all the
then there's
work.
the and then there's the business side, which is Mark, who actually works for Plastic Soldier Company and Bright Eye Games, who eventually have taken on the game and published it actually. But so I know Mark from well, he organises a local con, so I know him from the
Sure.
community. And again, he's somebody who came on board right at the beginning and said, "Yeah, I'll help you do it." So I had that kind of backup, knowing that somebody I know
Right.
was going to be able to guide me through the shipping and the manufacturing and all that kind of stuff. So that was a benefit.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit. So, um, different creators hit Kickstarter at different times, but when you've when the Kickstarter campaign's going, obviously it was exploding, so I'm sure you had a lot of content management and
Yeah,
stuff and unlocks and things like that as you were dealing with the onslaught of interest. But when the campaign wrapped, how at that point, how manufacturing ready were you? Had you already sort of had it together, or then did you have a period of 3 or 6 months prepping everything? Like, what was that part of the phase like for you guys?
We we were half done, is what we were. We got enough for a prototype together. We got the finished art for a prototype together. We got some decks done, some art done. But during the campaign, we also wanted to get more kids' artwork in. So during the campaign, we were constantly asking people to send the kids' art in, and then that ended up in the game as well, and things like that. So I had roughly 50% of it. The rules were done. I there's 10 adventures. I had 5 of those written, so the other ones got done. Then there was a kind of round of finishing off play testing, making sure everything was solid.
Sure.
Making sure everything worked. The new stuff worked with the old stuff and all that kind of stuff. So I had about 2 months of me doing stuff. Then Gary simultaneously was working for about a total of 3 to 4 months on the rest of the art and getting the rule book together and all the graphic design and stuff like that. And then we went to manufacturing from there. Yeah. So about 4 months from the end, maybe a bit less, 3 months from the end to sending the files off. And then the files got sent back saying, do this differently. So we had a bit more time and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, I was actually while you're going through that, I was looking at your campaign information, and it was actually a pretty short campaign. You only ran it for 18 days, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
testament to its success. And then so you have this back and forth for 4 to 6 months, and then you're getting your print proof and your white box samples and all of those things, which are exciting.
Yeah.
Um, and so, again, I'm taking this information from the last posted update you did, but it sounds like where we are today, and today is, what day is it today? Today is the 17th. It's Sunday. This won't be posting today. It'll probably post on Wednesday or Thursday of next week. But mid-October, it sounds like you now have everything printed and I believe you said paid for at the
Yeah.
factory, and you're now looking to coordinate shipping.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we're not doing that alone. Obviously, Quartermaster
Sure,
Logistics is handling the American, Australian, and Asian shipping, although they're subcontracting out, or rather,
sure.
um, and we're waiting on them to tell us when we can get a ship for America, which is proving more difficult
Oh,
than easy.
and I was on a ship that cost $25,000, so it's expensive. But in terms
Yeah.
of the shipping stuff, you're directly involved in the conversations?
Yeah, well, semi-directly involved. I get copied in.
Okay,
Mark's mainly involved because he's got the experience in shipping. He does logistical stuff for his day job. So
right.
so yeah.
And then so just a couple of specific questions, which you may have the details, but did you manufacture in China or you manufacture somewhere else?
Yeah,
And so
manufactured long.
then
Yeah.
a long pack, fine manufacturer. So and then so now there's some amount that has to go into the United States with Quartermaster. They're
hmm
also, do you know, are they fulfilling some from within Asia, like the worldwide stuff, or are they shipping it back?
They're fulfilling some from within Asia, so they've gone off to that Asian warehouse now. So hopefully they'll be fulfilled towards the beginning of November. To be honest, that's what I've fingers are crossed for. Then we're going to fulfill. So there's one shipment going to America with Quartermaster. There's one small shipment going to Australia to get done all there. Um, they're just fulfilling straight out of China for Asia, and then we're going with a different company to fulfill into the UK, where it will be picked up by Spiral Galaxy, who are also doing our European fulfillment
Right,
for us as
right.
well, which helps with the VAT for Europe because UK is no longer in.
Yeah, it's a whole big complicated
Yeah,
process. I worked with Spiral Galaxy a long time ago, but they're a good team. One of the interesting things that a decision point that you're at right now, which it sounds like you've made, which has interesting ramifications, is it sounds like you're proceeding with ship everyone as soon as I can, regardless of where they are,
yeah,
which will turn into, not like it's not it is what it is for a lot of publishers, but what's going to happen is, maybe people in Asia are going to have it in 2 weeks or
yeah,
a month, and then the people in the US are going to be like, where's mine? And you're going to be like, you're like in 6 months. And the UK could be 3 months or 2 months. So you're going to have an interesting cascade of releases, which is, again,
Yeah,
it's not unique to you. Like Thunderworks Games, Role Player, they just had, a similar one where you saw this sort of spectrum of regions getting it based on what kind of shipping logistical problems um, they have. And so it's an interesting,
it was a conscious decision.
yeah,
We could have asked people to leave it all in warehouses until we could all ship at the same time. But not only does that cost in warehouse fees and things, but I'm hoping now. Our backers have been exceptionally understanding and very very generous towards. We've had no negativity at all, really. I'm hoping people will understand that. I'd rather as many people got it as soon as possible as it's not going to affect anyone else's speed of them getting it if someone else gets it a bit earlier. Um, maybe I'm thinking maybe I've got too higher opinion
no.
of things.
So I wouldn't say that Pencil First Games focuses on kids and family as like we're a little bit more in sort of family, beautiful, lightweight, but like our audience, like there is a difference in audiences. Like our
Yeah, yeah,
audience tends to be reasonably calm. The sometimes the more higher end the Kickstarter, the more fancy it is. There's certainly other audiences. Like there are different audiences, and those different audiences have different tolerances for delays, but also
mm,
like how big the sword and axe they're going to come after you with is, right. And I suspect, though I don't know, but I suspect the audience that's really supportive and engaged and happy about Coraquest is also an audience that is willing to cut you some slack as a first time creator to get it out
yeah.
there.
That's certainly what's happened so far, and I think there's an element of the more you spend on something, the more you expect from it, and Coraquest is a relatively cheap product as well.
Yeah, for sure,
Uh,
for sure.
so yeah. No, I'm hope. I mean, the real thing is, and it's something that weighs very heavily on me, is that I'd love people to get it before Christmas because people are saying, oh, I'd love to give this as a Christmas present to whoever, or my child, or
Sure,
my
sure.
grandchild, or whatever. And while it's still possible that may happen, it's also possible it may not. Um, or it may happen for some of the backers, but not all of them. But I
Right,
mean,
right.
but as I say, I think the key to it, and it's something because Frank West has been doing a lot of mentoring of me, um, the designer of Isle of Cats, and he says, look, the key is to be as open as transparent as humanly possible all the way through. And if you think there's a problem, going to be a problem in 6 months' time, now is the time to talk about it, not in six
Yeah,
months' time when that happens.
it,
And
it,
I think honesty is the best policy with these things.
yeah, for sure. It's an interesting. Some of it comes down to your style and how you approach. As a publisher, tend to move. I tend to hold at warehouses,
Mm-hmm.
um, which isn't. But I also tend to buffer my campaigns and properly manage things so that even in like today's situation, we're ahead of schedule, not behind schedule. Like it's a very
Mm-hmm.
different situation if you're like or had already had a date and you're past it. But like if you still have some time, I what I've found over the years is, and this predates a lot of the current problems, but there are all these, sometimes things take a lot longer than you're expecting, right? Like I think like, right. So for example, I don't remember the product, but like one game, everything was good, but like one was just unloading at customs or something. And I was like, all right, guys, let's go. And then whatever that issue was ended up taking 2 months, right? And it just turned into this sort of like, oh, I have no idea. We just have to wait. And so for me, I have moved. I tend to say like, hey, until I know I can like, I know that people are going to take longer based on their regions. Like that's always going to happen. But I do try to consolidate that time personally. But I know that's I'm in a minority. I think most people are, especially nowadays. It's just like, hey, if I can ship your thing, I'm going to ship your thing. And also, hey, you understand that I'm trying to ship your stuff, but if this region doesn't get it, but I want to start selling it at this convention or start selling it here, I'm going to. There seems to be some
Yeah,
understanding and flexibility there. Um,
yeah,
but so, but also like on the I mean, presumably, given that you're sort of self-professed amateurs. Not, I don't think it's the right word, but hobbyist might be a better word than
Yeah,
amateur. That I assume it isn't a situation where you're you know building 7 new games and trying to think about how to stack them together to build a company. This was more of a wonderful experience that you're
yeah.
sort of
This
sharing
this
out.
is just this is a one-off, and I've been very clear from the start. I'm not a publisher, and I think I get a bit of slack for that as well. To be absolutely honest, I mean, Coraquest will be published. We've signed with a publisher, but that hasn't even started printing yet. So there won't be it won't be for sale and things like that, because I can imagine people getting annoyed at
Yeah,
that. But yeah. No, I'm this is a marvelous adventure, but it's not my this isn't
and
my career trajectory. If that makes any
and
sense.
well, it does, and I would just want to take a moment because just for again, this isn't, my channel does not get the most views, but the folks who do view it tend to be in that creator space or interested in creating, and I feel like um, it's just really important to know and understand and appreciate that art can be art, and a journey can
Mm-hmm.
be a journey, and a game can be a game, and it doesn't always have to be about building a business or making money, or it can just be about bringing in um, a little something that you've created or created with your family or with your friends that brings delight to people, and that's the beginning and the middle and the end of it.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
and there's nothing wrong with that. That's a you should don't
No,
hold off
as
from
I
the
say,
pressure.
as I say, punk rock attitude to creation. Everyone can be in a band, everyone can make a board game,
Yeah,
and yeah, just do it. I
yeah.
say, and you don't have. Well, I've certainly never felt the pressure to be professional, as in turn everything into a career. You know what I mean? I've got a career. I don't need another one. These are my hobbies. This is what I do for fun.
Yeah, at some point I tend to start calling them jobbies, but
Well,
but
yeah,
no,
there is
yeah,
that.
it's tough, and it's just important to sort of, I think it's an important perspective to have because people get caught up in it and the gamesmanship and the sort of, that person did better, that campaign did better. I think it's pretty common for both. I mean, you fall into the category of being both a Kickstarter creator now, but also and a very successful one, but also a media creator, right?
Yeah,
Content
yeah, yeah,
creator, and so that's
yeah,
another place where you see a lot of people sort of it can get lost chasing the subs or chasing the audiences, and there's
yeah.
nothing wrong with that, but it doesn't always have to
No,
be
no,
that, right?
but it's different. It's definitely a path to go down, and yeah, and very much kind of starting then 2 months later saying I deserve to be paid for my work and all that kind of stuff. Whereas the reality is you very few people who create content are paid for their work, and you'd be happy if you just do it for the love of it. But that's just my perspective. As I say, I've got nothing against people who are wanting to do it as a career. Many of my friends do it as a career, but yeah.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
there's
yeah.
something in the joy of creation. That's what I say.
Well, and just to be clear, like you can, there's something wonderful about both having the joy from creation and financial stability from it, right?
Oh,
That's a
there is.
wonderful,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
wonderful, happy spot to be in. But yeah, no,
Exactly. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's the,
Yeah, and with Coraquest, a good Cora's getting a good chunk of cash here for a future and things like that. So it's very very pleasant indeed. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'd much rather be successful than not successful. Yeah.
for sure, for sure. Well, and so, I mean, you got a lot. She's only 8, right? You said that. I mean,
Nine now.
nine,
She's 9.
nine, nine, nine. My
Yeah.
my kids are where how you at some point you stop remembering. 13 and 11. So
Oh,
just
I've,
a
I've got an 18 and a 15-year-old as well.
oh,
So I've got the gamut.
that
Yeah.
is a big range. But so, in terms of, obviously things aren't going to be settled until all this freight and shipping and stuff is done, and you feel like you
Mm.
can get to that next stage, which is people are enjoying it and you're sharing it. And so in the interim, are you still doing a lot of your, blog and video content? Would you say that slowed down, sped up? How's that been while this is all going on?
Um, that's steady. As I say, I do this kind of stuff for fun. I'm very very lucky in that I have Tom's very generous sharing it with his audience, so therefore I don't need to try and build an audience, and he doesn't have any deadlines. So Cora and I just do a video whenever we feel like it, basically.
Oh,
So
that's
that
nice.
might
Oh,
it
and
might
so
be just once a
do you
month.
just post when you do you because I do you just send him like do you have your own homepage YouTube, or is it only
No,
through
I
the
just, I
Dice
just
Tower?
do it through the Dice Tower because
Ah,
as you know, chasing audience is such a pain. Um,
yeah.
that if you can tap into that, it sounds very selfish, but you know he gets content out of it as well. But if you tap into somebody else's thing,
Yeah.
then
I mean, there's
yeah, we just do it when we feel like it. So I do appear on the Dice Tower every now and again, but and I also got my podcast, which is you know it's not nothing. It was Golden Geek nominated and all that kind of stuff. That's sporadically bought, so we do that regularly, but that's only monthly. So I just pootle along is all I do.
poodle. Uh, and that's an expression I've actually never heard before. Is that to mean like a poodle sort of walks with a little strut and is in sort of a good? What does that expression mean?
I think it probably comes from kind of very old-fashioned cars, you know, when they're just tootling
Oh,
along.
oh, oh, that sound. That has nothing to do with the poodle. Ah, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah, tootle, not
Putting,
poodle.
puttering
Puttering,
along.
yeah, pottering, you could say, just strolling along, you know, without a care in the world. That's what I
Yeah,
am. Other than the Coraquest stuff, that makes my hair go grey, but still, yeah.
yeah. We sort of non sequitur, but like Emily and I enjoy a lot of the pottery throwdown Great British Break Show, which there's a new season
Oh
of.
yeah, yeah,
And so that it's almost like this conversation where like you're listening, you want to turn the subtitles on because you're like, wait a minute, like, what did he say?
yeah.
What did she say? I don't know. I have no idea what that means. Gonna whack
The
it in the
pottery
oven
one's
or
great because he
something.
keeps bursting into tears. I love that guy, but yeah,
Anyway. Okay.
yeah,
Well, so I mean, it's such a wonderful story, and it seems like it's not only been a success for you and your family, but also for I think bringing it to life and just the inclusion of all the other kid stuff. And I think it's
yeah.
going to be really exciting to see. I believe I backed it back in the
Oh,
day. I believe.
thank you very much.
Um, yeah. Oh, no problem. I'm just seeing. I get, yeah. I'm not getting. I'm looking. I was like, did I give like a supporting back or an actual copy? I gave a supporting back, but I think I got
Oh,
access to
that's
some
very
of the
kind of
files.
you.
Um, but I'm excited to see it sort of emerge
Yeah,
into the world. Is there any? I mean, other than I mean, is there anything that that I mean? I guess the thing that's coming out soon is Coraquest once you get through the shipment, right? Or is there
yeah.
anything of note you want to bring up?
No, well, yeah, that's coming out soon, and then about 2 or 3 months later after that, then the retail version should be coming out, which is exceptionally exciting, and that's some and in a few different languages as well. So that fact it just completely blows my mind. That's been picked up and run with by somebody else. So that's really exciting. But yeah, no, I don't. As I say, I'm on the Dice Tower now and again. Usually on Board Game Breakfast, and I've got sporadically bored the podcast with Mike. But yeah, no, I don't. I'm happy. I'm happy being here. I'm very excited about being here. As I say, you were incredibly valuable to me when I was because when I was starting off, I listened to every single podcast going and watching all your videos and all
Sure.
these kind of round tables and stuff. And you provide a wonderful service, so people should
Oh,
be very well. I'm very grateful to you.
well, I appreciate it, and really, it was um, on the backs of folks like James Matthew or Jamie Stegmeyer,
Yeah,
who I think were real trailblazers, amongst other folks, in terms of providing that content. You know, I think maybe we were talking about at the beginning or even before we started recording that in some ways I've been doing less of those how-tos because, every once in a while I'll think about a topic, I'll know that I did the video, I'll watch the video again and be like, oh
mm,
yeah, no,
I've
nothing
covered
new.
it.
I've covered.
Yeah.
But awesome. So yeah, and thanks so much for being on. This was great.
No, thank you for inviting me. As I say, I was very excited.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. And thanks for watching, folks. Bye. Hey everybody, Edo here, and thanks for watching Gaming with Edo. Reviews over here on this playlist, League and Insider videos over here on this one. Subscribe, share, all that good stuff. But most importantly, play some great games. Thanks.